Good afternoon, and thanks for clicking on to the Saturday Tropical Outlook. It is the 5th of October, and I must say it is a slightly pre-recorded video, so some of the information that I am going to discuss may be slightly out of date. So just a little pre-warn of that. Coming up tomorrow, we will have the Global Weather and Climate Report live stream at 4 p.m, edition 111. Looking at all things global, there is certainly lots of extremes going on around the planet, and we will delve into that in quite a bit of detail tomorrow at the live stream. So if you're free and available, it would be good to see you. You can leave a comment. I'll try and answer any questions that you may have, a little shout out, etc., etc., the usual stuff. And I'll look forward to chatting tomorrow. So, the tropics. This is the latest IR imagery showing a rather active basin at the moment. We've got an area of interest over the Central America region. We still have the Central American gyre, but there is a feature here hugging the east coast of Mexico at the moment that bears a little bit of watching over the next several days here, and NHC does have a low probability. I think it's a 40% chance. We'll look at that in a second of development over the next 7 days. Here is once Category 4, 145 mile per hour Hurricane Kirk. That is going to make an approach on the western side of Europe over the next week or so. So we'll be looking at that and all interest, certainly from a European perspective, with Kirk. There is also a small possibility that Leslie, Tropical Storm Leslie here, currently a 70 mile per hour system at the moment, it is expected to become a hurricane, possibly a major hurricane, over the next few days as well. And we've got more African waves coming off the coastline as well. But like I say, a relatively active Atlantic at the moment here. I wanted to share a couple of tweets here from our good friend Phil Klotzbach of CSU, talking about the recent activity at Kirk. This was a tweet back on October 3rd. Kirk is now a Cat 4 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 130 miles per hour while at 47 degrees west. This shatters the record for the furthest east an Atlantic Cat 4 or 5 hurricane has occurred in October or November. The old record was Sam back in 2021 on the 2nd of October here. So interesting little factoid about Kirk. Initially, Kirk is the third Cat 4 or 5 Atlantic hurricane so far this year. Beryl and Helene were the others. 6 other years in satellite era since 1966 have we had 3 Cat 4 or 5 hurricanes by the 3rd of October. Previous years, 1999, 2004, 2005, 2010, 2017 and 2023. And then you went on to say here, this was earlier on Friday, if not late Thursday, in fact. Kirk now a Cat 4, 145 mile per hour, so a mid to high range Cat 4, the strongest hurricane this late in the calendar year since Iota back in 2020. And then his last tweet as of the end of Friday into Saturday morning. Through the 3rd of October, the Atlantic hurricane season is above average for named storms, hurricanes, and major hurricanes, and near to slightly below average for other parameters forecast by CSU. Kirk and Leslie likely to help increase day parameters and ACE relative to normal over the next few days. So as it stands, we've seen 12 named systems, blah, 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 named storm days, 45.25, hurricanes, 7, hurricane days, 20, major hurricanes, 3, major hurricane days, 6.25, accumulated cyclone energy is 88, and the average is 98. So less in the way of ACE numbers up until now, and then 2024 percentage of the 91 to 2020 average, you would expect to see 90%, and you can see that for yourself here without me waffling on too much more. So latest off the NHC looks like this here. So this is the players on the field At the time of recording, we have that area of interest, like I said, on the east coast of Mexico. We've got still 130 mile per hour, 943 millibar Hurricane Kirk, and we've got Tropical Storm Leslie. Let's click on to Kirk. First of all, you can see here that the system is going to run due north for a period of time and then took a northeasterly jog. Thanks to high pressure over Greenland, south displaced jet. I've been harping on about that for several days now on the channel. This system will make a beeline towards Europe as we move towards the middle portions of next week. And it could go anywhere from the mid-Atlantic coast of France to as far north as East Anglia, not East Anglia, Anglesey on the northwest of Wales, along also skirting the south coast of Ireland as well. So quite a big area of probabilities here as we go towards the middle portions of next week. But the system could potentially make quite the gusty winds and heavy rainfall for the UK. Looking at other aspects here to consider, we have got this system on the east coast of Mexico. It is with a 10% chance of development over the next 48 hours. We'll skip on to the 7-day probability. That chance has been upped to, what is it? Just bear with me a second. 50%. So we've got a 50% chance over the next 7 days of this system developing. We'll look at the models and see what they're showing here with regards to the future of that system. But we've got this Central American gyre. We've got a larger area of low pressure over the Gulf of Mexico at the moment. There may be some consolidation in terms of that trough over the Gulf of Mexico that may allow that system to develop. Looking at Leslie, looks as if we have a hurricane on our hands. NHC as of now anyway doesn't have this as a major system, but you can see it drift generally in a northwesterly direction towards the middle portions of next week. The reasons, obviously, why we've got the uptick in activity is down to the Madden-Julian oscillation. We have got a rather active phase over the central and eastern Atlantic basin at the moment here, hence why we've got the systems that we have at the moment here. Notice here that we've got large-scale sinking over the East Pacific, yet we had John obviously make a landfall on the west coast of Mexico back last week. And a lot of concentration over this region where we've got enhanced upward motion over the tropical Atlantic basin. So there's no surprise what's going on at the moment with regards to the Atlantic basin when you've got this pulse of enhanced upward motion. Then we've got sinking over the Pacific. Now, as we play through this loop, by the way, that upward motion remains quite persistent through next week. And then you notice here that we've got an area of quite a large area of subsidence moving into the Americas and eventually into the Atlantic basin. Notice here we still have some upward motion over the mid-latitudes of the Atlantic and over Africa up towards Europe as well as we move towards the end of the first week of October. So, but eventually that hammer of subsidence will start to take hold as we move towards the middle portions of this month here. You notice the MJO rotating back into the Indian Ocean, and even parts of the West Pacific will start to see more in the way of rising motion here. In tomorrow's live stream, we're also going to look at the impacts of Helene. It looks as if this is, I believe, the second most deadly in recent memory for the United States. So we are going to look at that. I actually meant to kind of look at that in a bit of detail today, but it skipped my mind. But there is certainly still continues to be an ongoing disaster anywhere from the Florida landfall point up into the southern and central Appalachian Mountains. It really is a very tragic event continuing to unfold over this part of the world. And Helene, we're not going to see another Helene. That name will most definitely get discontinued after all is said and done. So looking at the GFS here, you can see that we've got a large area of low pressure to the west of the UK and Ireland. Here is Hurricane Kirk. This is as of Monday, by the way, the upcoming it's beginning of the week. And then we've got Leslie, but we've also got this system here. The GFS is seeing a system develop, become a closed low, and then it kind of drifts eastwards. Notice here that Kirk transitions from tropical to extratropical, and then it re-deepens and then moves across and almost between France and the south coast of the UK. So actually, according to this run, obviously there's going to be fluctuations in the model, but it looks as if this one member, it goes right through the English Channel, bringing some very stormy conditions, heavy rainfall to the southern UK, Ireland, and northern portions of France. Even parts of northern Iberia may be affected by this as well. And then we've got the system moving in to the Tampa region, or just below the Tampa region here. But like I say, this is one operational model run. You cannot take this as gospel. Looking at the ensembles, you look at the trends to see what they are showing. That gives you a better idea in terms of the future outcome. Looking at this feature here, this is still hurricane potentially at this stage. Leslie, looks as if the GFS is wanting to see this catch that south displaced jet and then also make impact in the UK here as a fairly deep area of low pressure as well. This is taking us out to Tuesday the 15th of October, so a long way out. Then we play through the loop. You notice here there's a feature that the GFS is sniffing out over the Caribbean. We'll play through the loop. It looks as if that goes into Central America. Looking at anything else, let's look at the ECM AI model and see what it is indicating here. So we've got this broad area of low pressure over the Gulf of Mexico. We've got Kirk. We've got Leslie down at the bottom of the screen here. Play through the loop. You can see here that Kirk makes that eastward turn, and then actually the AI model actually takes it into northern Iberia and more France. It actually stays to the south of the UK and Ireland here. We skip back a little bit, keeping our eyes on that feature here. Like the GFS, it sees a landfall either around the Tampa Bay area or just to the south. We've got Leslie. Remember, the GFS takes that up towards the UK, but the AI model sees the system kind of just getting caught in the flow over the central subtropical Atlantic and then dissipate. And then as we play right the way through, it looks as if this model too sees some sort of feature development. It looks rather weak and innocuous to the south of Cuba. And then really we're kind of going into fantasy land here. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. So, still plenty of things going on at the moment here. Stick it right here in the channel if you're interested in winter chat. We are going to be looking at all things winter in tomorrow's live stream as well. It's going to be a busy one. We're going to be looking at the tropics, both in the Pacific and the Atlantic Basin, the end of the monsoon. How did that end up winding up as... we'll look at that. We'll look at heat records that are falling. We'll look at other aspects as well. So plenty of reason to stick around. Like and subscribe. And I'll see you tomorrow with the live stream at 4 PM. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday afternoon. Bye for now.